Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of the Panoptic Gamers podcast. On today's episode, we're joined by Jon Pasquino, or as we like to call him, Squino. The topics that we'll be covering today are tabletop games, card games, and games that require some level of social interaction. And don't forget to check out SnapToCover's Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for additional content. We'll be posting more videos soon of our playthrough of The Secret of Monkey Island. And check out Tobin's latest devlog series, where he shows us all how to create video games like a pro. So sit back and enjoy the show. Cool. Well, Squino, thanks for joining us today on our podcast.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. So I wanted to talk about board games and card games and all those kind of fun games where we all rage at each other.
Naturally.
Just rage.
Yeah. So Vero, do you want to kick this off by telling us some of the games that you love and hate?
Well, I mean, like, we're talking about tabletops and all that, so, I mean, you can always start with, it's like, we're doing kind of like these social games. So, the ones that really provoke a response into people are kind of like the ones that I really find great to play. So you have the Resistance, one of my favorites. You just learn to hate your friends, pretty much. You just have to. It's like a game where you're sitting there and you're wondering if these people are going to lie to you. And I guess I should preface that the game is to find out who is the spy by going on missions with each other and seeing if they're gonna fail it or pass it anonymously.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm doing a good job of explaining it.
Well, I mean, essentially the stages of the game are team selection, it's team selection, team vote on the selection, then the mission goes through, or the mission selection. And actually there's a method of gameplay in the rulebook where you can choose which mission. The leader can choose which mission to play. It doesn't have to go in a row. So you could technically play with like the last mission first, and then the ones that take up the most player base can go first, so you can kind of see who might be on the spy teams and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's so there's a lot of interesting gameplay aspects to the rules, and they definitely allow a lot more than I originally thought it did. So yeah, there's some extra rules that you can, like house rules that you can add to the game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I read up on the rules because I wanted to see, because mine came with an expansion, and I wanted to see how the expansion plays out, because normally I don't want to play with the expansion because it just adds more frustration to the game, and I feel like it wouldn't be as great as just vanilla game, but I think it does. I think it adds some extra oomph to it. And there's actually two other expansions to the Resistance that I kind of want to try out. I think it's called, what is it called? I don't remember what they're called. I have to look it up. But yeah, there's two other expansions which I'm interested in. So it should be fun.
Cool.
Yeah, and so once the teams are selected, the teams are, they vote on the teams whether they are a valid team, and if not, then it goes around the board to the next person to select the team again. And it kind of rinse and repeats until the mission starts, and then once the mission goes through, then each of the members of the team get to have these two cards. One is a success card and one is a fail card. And so when those cards are dealt, what has to happen is each member on that team has to determine has to decide whether the mission is going to succeed or fail. And the key thing here is that the spies that are I think, what is it? There's a certain ratio of spies to Resistance members.
Yeah, you always have a majority of Resistance members, and you have a minority of spies. Two spies, four Resistance members, and if you have seven Resistance players, then it's 5 Resistance members and 2 spies. If you have 8, it's 3 spies, and then 5 resistance members, and it'll increase every 2. The spies increase every 2 people after that point.
And some of the bigger parties, if you have a lot more people, then some of the missions will require 2 fail cards. If at least, on most missions, if 1 fail card is presented for the mission, then the entire mission fails, and the score goes to the spies. So in some cases, when you have a lot of people that are on a team, it requires 2 instead of 1, which is a little bit of a game balancing mechanic, I guess. But yeah, so the game is really, I like the game because it's really balanced very well, and it allows for a lot of customization because you can play with multiple people, different size parties of people, but you still have that, that feel of going on a mission, and like there's a lot of story behind it, which is also pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really emotionally investing too. I mean, you really start to get theories. You think, I think Jeff is the spy, and you get that burn into your head, and you have to prove it to the others, and I don't know. It's emotionally investing, but luckily it's got short turnaround, so it's not like, you don't get too upset about it.
That's true. That's actually one of the other reasons why I like it so much, because the games are pretty short.
Yeah, I as we get older, I find that a lot of people roll their eyes towards games because like, oh, I have to sit down and learn the rules. And you're like, no, you don't. Just bear with me for 5 minutes and we can get through this game, and you can know how to play it. And because the rules are a simple subset of basically of human interaction. And what really makes a game fun is not the rules, it's the fact that you're dealing with a human being and that you have to talk and read people, and it's just like you want to figure them out. You want to know who's lying. You're looking for tells like poker.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even just that though, because the spies can attempt to pin things on other people, so it adds just more depth to the game because of that that sort of blame game almost.
It leaves the table. Basically, the rules are set in such a way where you have like a no holds bar. You can say anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can act any way you want. You can get up and walk around the table and have a temper tantrum or something if you think that's going to do it.
Yeah, the game is definitely based around actions and like player interactions.
Yeah, because the play aspect of it is actually pretty small. I mean, there's not much materials. It's just like tokens and cards. You could do with a piece of notebook paper. It's really all about the construct and the rules that makes it a good game.
Right.
I feel like these games, in a way, can be almost like a gateway drug to like role-play games. Like you could probably get, if someone really enjoyed these games, you could probably maybe transition them into like maybe D&D or Pathfinder.
That's true. I mean, there is a lot of story behind it, like I said, as well as just trying to be the character that, or the
Well, see, the character in this game is yourself. You're just setting a. Maybe you can buy the whole like dystopian futuristic society, but really, you're just playing yourself, but you're trying to deceive people. So you're playing a character, but the character is yourself.
Right. But you're still role playing the extra, those little extras too.
Sure. So like that's why I feel like even though you don't have to stretch your imagination with the game, and you don't have to act, per se. You're still putting up an act.
Down with the government.
Well, that goes for Coup as well, which is a game that's made by the same people that made The Resistance. And that game's pretty awesome, too. That has a lot of... I wouldn't say it has a role-playing aspect to it, but it definitely has, like, a story behind it, like a loose story behind it, because you're controlling members of a court, of a futuristic court, and each member type has a different ability. And so then you use those abilities without, other people knowing who you have control over, It's kind of like you having a financial control over someone in, the Senate or something like that. And then but no one knows that you can control them, So,
yeah, you can definitely tell it's the same makers too. I mean, it's all about lying and just basically pretending that you have something you don't. It's very poker-like, and in action, in actual play, both of them sort of result in you lashing out and screaming at your friends at some point.
Yeah.
Yep.
In a fun way.
Of course.
In a friendly, fun, non-murdery way.
So yeah, if you want to check out those two games, Resistance and Coup, C-O-U-P. It's definitely spelled with a P at the end.
I believe it's pronounced Coup.
Yeah, it's actually pronounced Coup.
Yes. It's much like yogging. The soft J.
Yeah, it's a soft P.
But a hard P.
Yep. So we can also talk about Settlers of Catan, too.
It really is a soft P, though.
It is a soft P. It's Coup. Anyways, yeah, so let's jump into Settlers of Catan, because that game's pretty awesome. Although that can run on the long side of playthrough time.
Yeah, Catan games can go for a while, especially with the expansions. But in the base game, you're basically just racing to the 10 points. It's like a resource management game, and the board is randomized too. So the game starts and each player selects their starting locations, and that determines randomly under what conditions they'll generate resources. So everybody sort of has their setup, and then the players are allowed to build and progress as the game goes on. It's critical, like what you pick in the beginning, right? Because it'll influence what your starting resources are, but basically everybody's trying to race together to 10 points, and trading is like a huge deal for it.
Yeah, and the resources that get dealt out, I guess, are not always the same every game. I mean, you could get it depends on the dice rolls, which are associated to the tiles in that when they're set up. So, you could have in one game you could have a lot of sheep or wool, and in another game you could have a ton of ore, but like barely any sheep gets, tossed out. So it's definitely all about the trading and trading with the bank.
Well, yeah, it's an economy-based game. But the dice rolls in this game aren't like the dice rolls decide your fate for the turn. The dice rolls decide your fate for everyone on every single turn, because dice rolls are not specific to you. You roll a dice, and whatever number you roll means that these hexagons, these hex squares, made up shapes, guys.
I like hex squares.
Made up. They will generate resources for that round or that turn, and so everyone can collect who has settlements on that hexagon, and so forth. So the dice rolls aren't like necessarily deterministic of your particular fate, but for everyone's fate. So it's kind of a shared, like, the dice, you rolling the dice doesn't really matter, It's just a game mechanic to drive the game forward. It's like an engine.
Except when you roll a 7 and get the pirate, or whatever his name is. The robber. Yeah.
Well, that's also part of the game. Like, it also brings up it does affect everyone, though, because if you have 7 resources or more, then you have to drop half your resources. So it still is an overall effect of the game. It prevents people from hoarding resources. Right,
but it allows you to screw other players in that they won't be allowed to collect from any given hex square, as you so aptly put it.
Okay, I will admit that particular dice
it's hex square now
has a small effect on your particular fate. Yes. It also means, like, wherever you put that robber, you become enemies with, because they hate you. Because
that's true. So you really only use that towards the end of the game, when you want to screw other people.
That's an interesting point, though. The robber is critical in Catan, because it's your only way to slow down a select other person. I mean, you can just not trade with them, but that's sort of like a denial. But to actually actively steal from them and shut down stuff, there's only that one mechanic. So basically, everybody has to agree, kill them, and like leave the robber on their stuff or whatever in order for you to effectively take advantage of it. Because if it just jumps around and everyone gets hurt equally, then it's not really like a silver bullet. But it definitely is a standout strategy to stop the leader.
Yeah,
the blue shell of Catan.
It's like an attempt to create a United Nations against, or an ally against one player. Coalition. Stop this guy because we all suck.
Basically create embargoes on other players.
Yes.
So yeah, do we have any Catan moments that we want to share with our listeners?
Yes.
Yeah.
So part of Catan is that there's lots of different strategies to get your 10 points, right? So you can have some settlements that are worth some. You can have some development cards that are worth some. And you can win those 2 trophy cards for largest army and longest road.
The achievements. I just want to say the achievements are okay. So the largest army is practically ignored. No one does it.
What?
That's not true. No,
they don't.
I don't
they don't do it until only one person will do it. Usually it's about one person because I don't know. They just don't. They're so busy trying to build their settlements that they don't even bother with development cards. And then there's the longest road, which I feel is the most fiercely competed achievement in the entire game. People kill over that.
Yeah, but once the roads are built, you're kind of screwed. So, I mean, if someone has the longest road, at a certain point, you're not going to ever get the longest road. Once someone has it towards the middle to the end of the game, once someone has it, that's it. They have it for good. But with the largest army, you can get that later on.
Namely, a certain wife whose husband's first name rhymes with F tends to be very, she'll cut you. She'll cut you if you take her road. Scary.
I feel like Julie's definitely the one, Squino's wife, the one who is very cutthroat.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say all the wives because Danielle was that way too.
That's true. Danielle's pretty brutal.
It really brings out the best in people.
It does.
Yeah, as far as specific stories, there's definitely been times where you're at some rando is at 6 points, and then they just flip 3 dev cards and crack longest road and just straight up win, and you're all stunned because you spent 2 turns in your own little corner building your empire, and then you just lose.
And you're it's such an empty feeling when that happens because you're all of this work for naught. It's not even you struggled. You just were ambushed and there's nothing you can do. You lost.
Yeah,
those are the best wins.
I'll tell you, nothing is worse than thinking, I have the perfect place to put my first 2 cities, first 2 cities and roads, so that, you can play the game. And then all of a sudden, after everything's said and done, after all players have done that, you look at it again, you're like, shit, I just made the biggest mistake to start the game. That's what happens to me every time.
Yeah, but you can go for, you can fix it. You can go towards the ports. I mean, yeah, I agree. It's definitely a massive disadvantage. But the game has mechanics to fix it. I think the game is fun because, although, you can draw comparisons to Monopoly, because Monopoly is kind of similar. In Monopoly, well, I would argue it is, right? You roll dice, you land on stuff, you buy it. But in Monopoly, it's you need to kill everybody else. They need to run out of money, they need to land on your stuff, and they have to give you all of their dollar bills. But in Catan, everybody races towards a common goal. So, the trading is we're friends, right? It's just like Munchkin. You're friends up until someone's going to crack 10, and then everyone just piles up on them.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction. It's why the game feels better than Monopoly, I think.
It's definitely a lot like Munchkin in that respect.
Yeah. Only thing about Monopoly is it's bullshit.
Really hates Monopoly.
I hate it so much. Basically,
my
issue with Monopoly is that it's all dice rolls. It's all RNG. And whoever doesn't know what RNG is random number gods. You just basically roll the dice, and you land on a property. And if you don't own the property, if it's up for grabs, you take it. Because, by God, if you don't take it, then you're gonna be out of luck. And basically the game progresses where no one ever wants to trade you. No one ever wants to trade for, properties, because if somebody gets Monopoly, that's the, linchpin for most people. So it ends up either being a stalemate or a long, long game of just going around the circle until you force people into positions where they have to trade,
True. But there are situations where, someone might hit the jail, and someone who's ahead.
The jail is amazing. The jail is safety.
Actually, yeah.
it's good for the person who is, well, if someone's ahead, right, and they get put in jail, they can't collect on any of their properties. So you can easily go walk through and keep them in jail.
That's a rule?
Yeah. You don't collect on any properties if you're in jail.
I didn't know that either, Vera.
No.
I thought it was a safe haven where you just got away with everything.
Yeah.
Like real life.
Because we never played that way, and I hated...
I'm surprised that's like one of the big rules.
Yeah, it seems kind of critical, sort of changing the understanding.
Yeah, because I never understood, like, in late game why you'd ever want to leave jail. Like, whenever I rolled doubles, I'm like, don't do it. Don't roll doubles. Don't roll doubles.
So all those murders Vero committed were in vain.
Yeah.
Yep, or for naught.
What? I don't want to pay this rent.
Everything you know about Monopoly has just been turned upside down.
No, it hasn't. I still hate the game.
It takes forever. It does.
It does. You know, as the forgotten Dane Cook once said, it's bullshit, Grandma. It's bullshit.
We stole the pink 50s, you cheating whore.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I guess the Catan equivalent would just be like, where'd you get all the sheep? I found them on a raft.
Yep.
Well, you know, I traded them for wood. So a few other games out there that, you know, we should play are, you know, actually a game that we should play sometime, when we get together is, Win, Loser, and Banana. Win, Loser, Banana. Very simple game. You don't even need to buy this game. It's so simple.
Do you need a banana?
Do you need a winner?
No. A banana would actually hurt this
Do you need
game.
a loser?
Yes. You need losers, you need winners, you need a picture of a banana would be good. But only if the back of that picture looked the same as all the other cards that you gave out. So basically the game is, you have a winner, a banana, and everyone else in the game is a loser. And you have a deck of cards that is equal to the number of players of the game. And so it's like, you deal out the deck of cards, everyone looks at their roll, they're either a winner, loser, or banana. And if you're a winner, you proclaim that you are the winner. Like, everyone knows this. And then, as the winner, it's your job to decide who has the banana card. And if you can figure out who the banana card is, then you actually win the game, and so does the banana. If you don't, and you pick a loser, then that loser wins the game. And it's that simple. There's actually no other rules to that. Simplest game ever.
Wow. I see how it cannot be improved with a banana for scale.
Yep.
How would you actually hide the banana?
I don't know.
Like,
we need technology.
Yeah,
Well,
you need a way.
You could put it in your pants.
It's true.
No. It's not how you would hide one. One does not hide a banana in the pants.
No.
It'd be too much of a bulge. You'd scare the children.
All right.
Let's see. So yeah, that's a great game that you can always play. Actually, you can play that with a regular deck of cards where you have numbered cards as would just be losers. You'd have one queen in your deck, and then you'd have a choker card as a banana, and you can play that with any deck of cards that way. So you can take that home to your next party. A game I kind of wanted to go over was Saboteur, which I thought was a great game. I ended up playing this at I guess it's a game night, because there's no such thing as happy hour in Boston. But,
Yeah, there is.
No, not officially. You can't call them
You can't have happy hours in Boston. You have
Fine,
to have...
enjoyment time.
Yeah, you can have, like, discount food time or game night, but you can't discount liquor that way.
Yeah, I suppose.
Anyway.
I thought they changed that, but whatever.
No, they didn't. They won't. It was at a bar called The Good Life, and basically they hosted it like on Tuesday nights, and I guess downstairs in the basement is a vodka bar. It was really fun to go because they would actually set up Wii's on the big screen, and you could play Smash Brothers at the bar while drinking. And in the back, they had a game of Saboteur going on. And what you do is everyone would have these cards, and you'd find out if you were either a dwarf or a Saboteur. And basically, you put down three gold cards, which are basically they're like treasure chests, and one of those chests has gold in them, and the other two don't. They're decoys. And so you have these actions where you can play this action card that maybe you can look at one of the chests, and only you can look at it, and then you can tell people what it is. But you might be a saboteur, and they might be guiding them towards the wrong card or the wrong chest. And basically, you have to play until everyone runs out of cards, or it's impossible to create a path. So, you basically have these grid of cards. Basically, there's 3 by 7, and you lay down cards, and they create paths, and you have to kind of make your way towards one of those goal cards as a team. And there's going to be saboteurs amongst you who are going to try to stop you, but be sneaky about it, because once you figure out who the saboteur is, people are gonna play down cards that are gonna stop you from playing, which will make it so that they can get to the gold without you interfering.
So how do who wins the gold in the center? How is that determined?
So, what happens is, if all the dwarves make it to the gold, then at the end of the round, everyone gets a gold card, and that's your point, and then you play another round.
Wait, is there a board involved, or is it just cards?
It's just cards, but they're laid out in a 3 by 7 grid.
Oh, okay.
And the cards will create paths, basically.
Okay.
Sort of like a little bit it's laid out in a way of you would do it like Carcassonne, where they're almost the cards kind of act like tiles.
Like Dragon Quest? Or
No. No. It's more like, have you ever played Carcassonne?
Yeah.
Where you have these tiles and that creates the map, kind of thing.
Okay.
So you'd play a path card and it would have maybe it would be go around, it would direct the cave to a corner, and so you'd have to go up from there to play off of it, kind of deal.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's a 3 by 7 grid, so you basically just kind of try to build a path, and the saboteur will try to make it impossible for you to do such a thing.
I see.
And if the saboteurs win, then they get a gold, and nobody else gets gold for that round. And whoever wins the most gold at the end of the rounds, however many rounds you go, wins the game.
How long are the rounds?
I would say they last about 5 to 10 minutes. They weren't that long.
Okay. Do you have the game?
Yeah, where'd you play it?
I played it at this place, at this bar called Good Life, like I said earlier.
Right.
It was pretty good.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't have a copy.
You should get a copy of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I want to get a copy of it. I want to get a copy of this, and there's so many games I want to get copies of, but when it comes down to it, we don't play games a lot, in person,
Yeah.
So I have a hard time justifying the expense sometimes.
We gotta talk about the Coup game that we played the other day, Squino.
Oh yeah.
Was I involved in this game?
No.
Okay.
So we watched football, and then we played some games afterwards. But it was mainly a football thing, but then we played games afterwards.
Man.
Yeah.
Wasn't even there, and I don't even care about football. I'm not even part of this conversation.
Well, so you can let's see what your assessment is of what happened. Okay.
Okay.
So when we played Coup, let's see. I mean, there were many instances of screwing people over, but I think my favorite was when I assassinated Squino. He didn't believe me, or no, he blocked it. He attempted to block the assassination. So I said, okay, then prove it. So he went to prove his failure, or his blocking, but didn't have anything to block with, so he got killed off. He had 2 cards. Did you have 2 cards, Squino?
Yeah, I think so.
So he lost an influence.
So you lost influence, and then you lost a second influence for the attack going through.
Yeah, I got Coup one-shotted.
Oh, right.
That wasn't my proudest moment.
So then, after the game ended, I didn't win it, but after the game ended, after I was out, which was actually shortly after, I revealed my card, and I didn't have an assassin. And I hadn't traded my cards in or exchanged anything. And I was like, Squino, take a look. And I flipped over my card that wasn't an assassin. It was magic.
I got once.
You felt happy about that?
Yep.
causing his suffering, and then you just wanted to rub it in his face.
It's like getting a guy to fold like a flush just by sheer force of will.
Yep. And we did play the expansion, which I have to say is fantastic.
Yeah, that definitely adds a different element.
Yeah.
There's like teams and stuff to this one or something?
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So it adds an extra character type, and it replaces the ambassador, and it's called the Inquisitor. And the Inquisitor, so instead of taking 2 cards to exchange, you can exchange 1 card. You take 1 card, you see what the best one, whatever one that you don't want, and then you put it back. So you can do that. Also, it blocks stealing, just like the ambassador, but there's an ability that the Inquisitor has to allow you to see one of the other person's cards. And so that can be a huge advantage if you know someone doesn't have something, especially if they only have 1 card left. So you can definitely use that to your advantage. And again, I mean, if you don't have the Inquisitor, you can still do the Inquisitor actions. It's just that you're risking one of your influence to do so. Also, there are teams, right? So you have, the Loyalists and the, what was the other one? Reformist, that's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Loyalist and Reformist. And so the game starts off by the person, either picking what they want, and then it flips back and forth, from one to the next. And so you can't attack anyone or do anything to any people that are on your team. So, but you can pay 2 coins to flip someone else's team affiliation, or you can flip 1 coin and flip your own. So it adds a little bit of depth to the game as far as teamwork and deception.
Yeah, you can go and piss off a bunch of people, then flip teams, and you're untouchable. And that was definitely a strat. And the other one is if everybody's the same team, all bets are off, and it's a free for all. So, whereas Coup, if you're playing with 6 people, the first actions you take are generally random, right? Unless you have beef with someone, you really got to kill Jeff. Right. Then the teams sort of force some type of method to the madness. You have allies, but it can change. So it's definitely more fun for advanced players.
Yeah, and there's an interesting dynamic when it comes down to only maybe 3 players left. When the team mechanic falls into place where everyone is on the same team, no one wants to risk flipping their card over to the other team, because then they become the target of the other 2 people, and you don't want that. So either you have to foot the bill for two coins to flip someone else over so that can take place, or you just have to let it slide. I mean, it's kind of a waste to do it at that point because you can just target them anyways. So I find that kind of interesting that even when there's 3 of the same team type, there's no point to flipping someone else over to the other team.
With Coup and Resistance, and even Catan, maybe just Coup and Resistance, I don't think player skill could get you to win dependably every time. I don't think you could ever play a Coup tournament and have meaningful results.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess why do you say that?
Why you can't win on skill based alone?
I don't know. I'm trying to articulate it, but
okay. Well, I mean, because lying is it's an imprecise art. I mean,
hold on. So poker, you can make a tournament out of poker, right?
Right.
But I don't think you could out of Coup, and I think it's because the politics are too volatile. I don't think if you play the game perfectly and lied with the most efficiency for the actions that gave you the greatest chance, I think the best Coup player and the worst Coup player only are a few points difference in terms of win percentage, and I think it would just be largely a crapshoot no matter what you did. I don't think you could get it to the level of poker. And other chance-based games with that. It's that bluffing aspect. Like poker, you can do tourneys. And, I mean, after many games, you'll determine a good poker player. But I think if you played hundreds of rounds of Coup, I still think the best and worst player wouldn't be too far apart.
Well, I mean, you still can win without bluffing. Is that what you're talking about? Because I mean, like, I guess in poker, if you bluff, you're more likely to win. You kind of have to have that bluffing aspect to it.
You do with Coup as well, I think, in order to be effective. You can't just get your 2 cards and then tell the truth the whole time. I don't think that'd be the most effective play.
But that's what I'm saying is that, I mean, with the same, alright, with poker, you can play the game without bluffing. You won't get far, but you can. As long as everyone is not bluffing. Because pretty much if you bluff, you could just clean house, while other people are telling the truth. But that works the same with Coup. If most people are bluffing and one person is telling the truth, they're not going to last long. I mean, I guess you could say if they're always telling the truth, then if someone, says, "Oh, I don't believe you, prove it," and you prove it, then they lose, influence points. So, I guess there is some, I don't know. I feel like it could be very, tournament based. I don't know how to say that better.
I don't think it can be very competitive because it's more of a game on. I don't think you could really make a competition out of this game without it's just too much bullshit that could happen. There's too many unknowns. It's not a skill based game. It's more of another type of game.
That's the thing though. I want to say parts of it are. It's just part of me wants to call it the same as poker, but in practice it just doesn't feel like you could really affect your fate that much. I think the optimal strategy is bluffing some amount to maximize power, to feign power. And as long as the bluff isn't called, obviously, it's a straight up win. It's just stronger than not lying, like you said, Jeff. But for some reason, I don't think Coup could be done in a competitive way.
Yeah.
Do you think it has to do with the number of players, though? Like, if you have more players, it's a little harder to determine whether someone's cheating or whether someone is bluffing or not.
The number of players doesn't necessarily. Well, I don't know. Good question. I'm not sure.
Because the same with poker. I mean, you could have a couple players. You can have a whole table like 8 players. So,
this game. Yes, there's encouragement. Like, there's lying is encouraged in poker, but the thing is in poker, there's a statistical aspect to it. You can you look at your hand and you know your statistics, and then comes in you can weigh your options. Where Coup is kind of it's sort of you don't have a lot of statistics to go on. You have two cards that you have known, and that's it. You know your 2 cards. And then everybody else could have any of the other cards. And there's 3 of each card, so it's very hard to tell, until you see what everyone does for, moves. You can go around.
Poker. That's exactly like poker, right? I mean, there's 4 of each in the deck, and some are stronger than others, and you don't know what people do. You don't know what people have objectively. You have to judge based on their actions.
Mm.
But I hear what you're saying. For some reason, I can't quite peg it, but in practice, I just think Coup there's not enough player decision that actually affects the outcome. Like Jeff alluded to, 8 players in poker, right? Your straight is looking okay with 8 players at the table. Not real strong. There's likely a full house, right? But that same straight with 2 people is almost a guaranteed winner. Coup is a similar thing where as the game degrades, different cards become stronger.
Yeah.
Especially since cards get revealed when people lose them.
Yeah.
So you could say, alright, well, he can't steal from me anymore because all the captains are out on the table. So, you could make some deductions.
Yeah, sure, over time. But I mean, starting off the game is more of a crapshoot than anything else.
True.
You end up mostly trying to trust people because you just don't know, So
you get everyone starting off with attacks, and then you're like, what the fuck?
Well, someone's
lying.
Yes.
And then you always end up picking the one who's telling the truth. And losing influence. It's cool.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, I would love to end this podcast on a upcoming game that's coming out right now. that I'm finding particularly fun and exciting. It's
Yeah.
called Exploding Kittens.
Yeah.
This just came out on Kickstarter today, actually, and it has blown up. You've ever heard of the oatmeal, right?
Yeah.
Exploding Kittens is like by the artist who did the oatmeal, along with these two other game designers, Shane Small and Ellen Lee.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
And basically, Ellen Lee and Shane Small designed the game, and then the oatmeal guy did. I can never remember his name. Did the artwork for this?
Yeah,
Matthew Inman. That's it. He did the artwork for it. So naturally, his artwork's amazing, and everyone's just like, "I want this game because it's going to be amazing."
Oh, it's a card game.
Yeah, it's a card game, and it's basically like a game of Russian roulette, where everybody picks a card from the deck. It's your turn, you take a card, and that's all you do. And then if it's a kitten, it's an exploding kitten, then you're out of the game. But as you take cards will help you, like, avert yourself from drawing the deck, so that you don't pick a kitten that's exploding, or you might pick a card that's like diffuses a kitten bomb.
This sounds like pretty amazing.
Yeah, like via the laser pointer, you can diffuse a kitten, an exploding kitten, or kitten therapy, or catnip sandwiches.
See the future. Feast upon a unicorn enchilada and gain its enchilada powers.
Rub the belly of a picacorn.
Wow.
Yes. So,
don a portable cheetah butt.
Which skips your turn.
Alright.
Yeah, so, like, it's gonna have some great humor in it, and the game mechanic seems relatively simple, so I think that would be a great game to get for myself. So I'm probably gonna back it.
I think the craziest part, Vero, is absolutely the backing. It was posted
today.
It was posted today. They asked for $10,000, and as of right now, it's just under $1 million.
Yeah, it is. It's just under $1 million. I'm like, holy crap! Like, I'm like thinking like the people who are making the game are just like, oh god.
We're throwing money at the screen, and things are happening.
And Matt Inman gets paid.
How do we sell this bulk order? That's what I'm thinking.
I love the card that says Taco Cat, and it's just a cat shaped like a taco saying, "I am a palindrome."
It's true. It's a palindrome.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what you can play cat cards, which are different from kittens. Cat cards activate special powers when played as multiples. I'm like, what does that mean? What special powers? You'll have to find the game. You'll have to get the game to. Oh, and if you if you back it for $35, you can get like the not safe for work additional pack, which is totally what I'm getting.
If you're gonna get it, you might as well get one. Right?
NSFW, man. You gotta get as close to Cards Against Humanity as possible.
Apparently you can get 3 custom drawn cards.
That's if you put $500 into this.
Yeah.
And they've already run out of that one.
He'll basically lick the cards for you and send you his DNA. That's basically what he's saying.
Matthew Ittman has licked this card.
Yeah, it's pretty unreal. I just can't get over the sheer scale. I don't think I've ever seen one that had this little of a... I mean, there's been some real Kickstarter blowouts, but this one's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anything he does, people just toss money at.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the Tesla museum.
Yeah, that's a good example.
And then I love how he just like kind of pulls the guy from SpaceX, or the founder of Elon Musk. Yeah, that's it. Founder of Tesla. He's like, hey, your company's name is Tesla. You should totally throw money at this.
You'll be popular.
Wait, you're the oatmeal guy? I'm in.
Yep. I feel like that's exactly how the conversation went too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. I think we talked about a lot of good things today. Yeah. So definitely check out SnapToCover.com for the latest updates and content, and we'll
keep talking about stuff on these podcasts, and just hopefully you guys will like it.
Yeah, and if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, definitely post it in the comments or send us an email or tweet or something on Facebook.
Next month is TempleCon, so we are hopefully we'll do something about conventions, maybe?
Yeah, we could do that.
I don't know.
We'll definitely promote it, because there's a lot of game tournaments and stuff like that.
It's all games. It's all games and steampunk. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and have a good one.